This is a key point. Kamala gave these 8 Democrats cover, those 8 Democrats in the Senate who voted against it. But these 8 Democrats also gave her cover because they can now say, look, it wouldn't have made any difference. We're nowhere near 50 votes. So here's Reverend Barber, and here's what he has to say.
Or I see them hiding behind a reconciliation rule and a parliamentarian rule that are not even in the Constitution. Not one of them swore to uphold a parliamentarian's rule. Not one of them swore. The president didn't swear to do it. The senators didn't swear to do it. And even when I see the president, I love him preach his inaugural sermon from this very pulpit. But when I see him say he's going to listen to the parliamentarian rather than listen to the people, the poor people, the low-wage people who have kept this country alive, who have been the first to have to go to work and the first to get affected and the first to get sick and the first to go to the hospital and the first to die. And when I see the vice president, yes, she's my sister, but I know she can overrule the parliamentarian and she can force the senators to vote. But then people are saying, no, don't do that. I want to say, Sister Harris, you like Esther, you were born for such a time as this. And when we know that trillions have been given to the wealthiest, 1.2 trillion didn't even go through the Congress. They just found a way to say, here, you can have an extra $1.5 trillion. And billionaires have made nearly $1 trillion in the midst of this pandemic. And when I see people who are dying from poverty and people, poor and low wealth workers, and are the last to get any help, but the first to suffer. And for over 9 years, we haven't raised the minimum wage. It was $7.25 now, $2.13 for tip workers. And these politicians want to hold poor and low wealth people captive in poverty and play games. Republicans want to block many because many have never seen a wage hike they like. And Democrats run on one thing, and then when they get in office, too scared to run on what they said they were going to do, worried more about some kind of false notion of compromise. Don't you remember the 3/5 compromise kept us in trouble for 250 years, and we still haven't gotten over it. We need a change. When a 15 minimum wage would lift 45% of black workers out of poverty. 62 million people could ultimately be impacted. We need a move. We need a move from here to where God wants us to be.
So that was Reverend Barber calling out the Vice President, Kamala Harris, and the President. He even said so on Twitter. He said, Vice President Harris, please listen to former restaurant worker Chris Kincaid from West Virginia. We're told that we're essential, but they can never seem to find the money to let us live in dignity. Nearly 70% of tipped workers are women like Chris from West Virginia. Vice President.
I'm a mom of 3, and I've pretty much worked minimum wage jobs my entire life. From fast food restaurants, to your janitorial work. I've done it all. And I love cooking in restaurants. I love cooking, and I love getting to talk to the people. All the different kinds of people that you get in. What I haven't loved is the pay. Well, up until the beginning of the pandemic last year, I was managing a bar and restaurant for 5 days a week. I got a full 40 hours a week, and I still qualified for food stamps, and I was still in poverty. It didn't matter that I worked 40 hours a week. It didn't matter that I had worked over the last decade to move up in the industry. None of that mattered. So now I'm a janitor. I clean banks in the evening. I clean your dentist office and doctor's offices. I clean your factory. We're so essential, and yet we're not paid enough to support ourselves or our families. We demand and we deserve $15 minimum wage.
That's right.
Period. Not tomorrow, not next year, now.
Yeah.
We demand a living wage now. And I think we deserve it. Not only myself, my co-workers, but for my family. There's so many people with stories just like mine. They're told they're essential. They're heroes for keeping our economy and our businesses open. And yet they can never seem to find the money to let us live in dignity.
And so that he was appealing to Vice President Kamala Harris, who he helped get elected. This is Dr. William Barber, and that's a woman he's working with and advocating for. And you want to know how people responded to Reverend Barber advocating for the poor people, poor working people? Want to know how Democrats responded to that? Well, here's one. The trashing of our vice president has gone on long enough. I'm unfollowing you in multiple accounts and unsubscribing from the Poor People's Campaign, and I will no longer donate to your organization. Jennifer Dees. Severely disappointed by your relentless attempts to scapegoat the vice president. I am unfollowing your accounts and unsubscribing from the Poor People's Campaign. There was a time I was so inspired after hearing you speak at the Democratic Convention. No more. This is real. I'm blocking you for spreading lies about the role of the vice president when the votes aren't there. It's harassment.
Oh, God.
It's harassment. This is violence. That was violence. Do you see why you should never pay attention to these people? These are the same people. This is Cenk Uygur during hashtag Force the Vote.
There's no way that these people during the 60s would have been able to handle what was going on with the civil rights. There's no way.
Here's another one. The campaign you are waging against Vice President Harris is, quite frankly, quite disgusting and very ungodly. I have very quickly gone from being a big fan to thinking there is something very wrong with you. That's someone named Kid Phantasm. April Garino says, stop it. Stop damning our vice president just to score points with journo bros and burners. It's ugly to see you going after anyone like this, especially when you admitted she can't do what you keep demanding she do. There's more. This is the historic, here's whoever this is. As vice president, Kamala Harris is the tiebreaker in the Senate, and she certainly can override the advice offered by the unelected parliamentarian, the latter of whom is clearly taking a partisan conservative stance here on the issue of basic survival wages for working people. That's this person responding to that person. If only K-Hive, those are the people who mindlessly defend the powerful Vice President Kamala Harris. If only K-Hive spent that energy they use on defending their favorite politician to instead fight for the $15 an hour or policies that actually help people. Imagine that. Instead of attacking people who are speaking up for the poor. Ajama Barako says, where is the feet to the fire that Democrats claim was the strategy to hold Biden accountable? Biden and the Democrats are playing games with the minimum wage and attempting to condition the public for more wars. Where is the opposition, the pressure, the principles? Ajama knows there isn't any. There never was. That's why we're starting a third party. Ryan Knight says the Democratic Party markets itself as the party of working people when it is campaigning and then stabs working people in the back when it gets the power, of course. Ready for Queer Liberation says Obama runs on the public option and then delivers a right-wing health care plan that includes mandated unaffordable health insurance. I don't know but the K-Hive people, can I just say this about the K-Hive people? They sound exactly like the sycophants who were defending AOC and the squad during Force the Vote.
Yes.
They sound exactly like that. That's what they sound like. Jimmy Dore, she shouldn't have to put up with his rage-filled rants. The fuck is wrong with these people? They don't have a shame button. People at the Young Turks don't have a shame button in their brain anymore. They've hung around the shameless narcissist Cenk Uygur so long, it's infected everybody over there. Contempt for the poor and working class is bipartisan. That's exactly right. Vote blue no matter who kind of loses its ring once a bunch of Democrats vote down a minimum wage increase. But you got to keep voting for that. And demand. It's not just that everybody told you had to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And first they told you to vote for Hillary Clinton. It's not just that they did that, knowing that was evil. But they demanded nothing. And they made you ashamed to demand something for your vote. Because that's what I was telling people, demand something for your vote. And Joe Biden was offering nothing. The only thing he would offer was a $50 minimum wage. And now, of course, he's not. He's killing it. So how can you look those people in the eye anymore? Those people who told you to vote blue no matter who and shamed people like me for those people who demanded nothing for their vote. Nothing. They demanded nothing for their vote for Hillary Clinton, and they demanded nothing for their vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Nothing. Those people are destructive. People say I'm destructive. Those people are destructive. Look at the country you're living in. Right now, they're the ones squashing the workers so Wall Street can come and repossess their houses, their cars, and their apartments. That's why they're not giving you a minimum wage, and that's why they're not giving you COVID relief. Oh, wait, Jimmy, they're giving you a one-time $1,400 means-tested bullshit. That's not COVID relief. The rest of the world is getting monthly payments of $2,000. The rest of the Western world is getting that. The only place that isn't getting that is the place that is being run by the Democrats. And now the guys who told you to keep voting blue and keep voting Democrat are in a pickle, aren't they? And they're unwilling to hold the Democrats' feet to the fire. They won't even call the squad out by fucking name. Your big, brave YouTube hosts won't even call out the Democrats by name. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.